of what you need to do to add the plugin into your Bubble app. So here, for example, I'm going to add a comment. I'll add a comment here and test comment, and you can see it's the comment is added with the name of the Bubble user who's logged in, which is handy. And then there's these controls: zoom out, zoom in, get page count, get the current page number, go to page. So you've got these controls, and you've got these exposed states. So if we view that in the editor, and you can just click there to view it in the editor. Here's that page. Here's that page, and you can see that this element here is the plugin, and on that plugin, so that plugin you would install with Add Plugins, and then once you've added that plugin, you would see in your visual elements PDF Annotate. You drag PDF Annotate onto your app, and you'd make it the right size. And what I've found the best solution is to make it a fixed size. There's minimums. Basically, in order to do PDF annotation, it needs to be a minimum size, and it's not going to work especially well on a mobile phone. It's only going to really work on a sort of tablet and bigger size. So I've made this a fixed size, and what it exposed as the properties. This is all the properties of the plugin. It's got a link to the file that we want to load when it first loads up. So it's the annotated file. It's the URL of the file. Happens to be a Bubble PDF, a Bubble file. You have to tell it the file name and the file ID and your website home URL. And this is whether you want debugging on, and I do this so that the debugging is on in test version, but it's not on in the live version. And you almost certainly want this to be yes. So these are all the default settings. These default settings work really well, but you can try anything else that makes sense. I used size container, but there are these others, full window, etc. I would just try them out and see what works best for your use case. And basically these settings are what you need in order to do annotations. If you turn these off, it just turns into a PDF viewer, and you can read the comments but can't edit the comments. And this is where you would put in the person who's editing it. So in real life, I would put in something like current user, and put their name and then their first name, last name, email. At the minimum, you need their name, but it's handy to put in their first name, last name, and their email. But I'll undo that. And this is the autosave frequency, so not any more often than every 2 seconds. So when there's a comment added, it autosaves, and those are all the settings at the plugin level. But of course, you are able to. There's an action in there so that you can load another PDF. You don't have to do it on page load. You can reset the PDF that's being displayed. You can do that in workflows. So looking at the workflows, really easy ones like zoom. So in order to do zooming, there's an action on the plugin called set zoom level. And there's zoom out and there's zoom in. Those are very straightforward. There's go to page. There's get the page count, and the page count then is set into an exposed state. And then you can grab that value out of the exposed state to find out what page within the PDF the user's currently looking at. And this bit here is probably the most tricky bit. So because the plugin autosaves changes to the PDF, it's creating a new file every time there's a change, but no more often than the frequency. There's a setting for the minimum frequency of changes. So when there's a change, it will upload. It will fire this event that the changed file is available. And the way I've set it up is every time there's a change, update the file. So in this particular case, it shows an alert. It deletes the current file that we're looking at, and it sets the URL on the thing in the database which has the URL of the PDF. I set the new PDF. I set the new URL for the PDF. So basically, every time there's a change, we're replacing the file that's being auto-saved. So in this particular case, I just have a very simple database, which is a table of sample files, and I keep the original file, and then I keep a URL to the file that's been annotated. So this would be the PDF before any changes were made. You don't need to do this. This is just because it makes sense in my setup. But I just basically keep a URL, store in the database the URL of the currently most updated PDF. And there's a huge amount of functionality built into the viewer to tell you when it'll basically, if two people are editing at the same time, it'll warn you on the UI. So there's a separate video about how to set up the client ID, and you put the client ID into the plugin, and it goes here. These are free. It explains on the page how to get one of these. They're free. They're basically just so that Adobe know that only people using their free SDK are using it from your website, so they know who's using it. And here's a summary of the events. And that's all there is to it.